He's one of the first poets I met in Colorado, maybe, and for sure one of the first poets I really looked up to. And we've really had kind of a long story already together. I'll let him tell you about this book, but this is his first full-length poetry book and his first publication in 10 years. And he and Mary own Liquid Light Press. Liquid Light Press. Is that an amazing name of a press? Yeah. So I'm just really honored that we get to celebrate our books together. These poems are the masterwork of a different kind of man than most men I've known in my 73 years. This is by Wayne Gilbert, who's a really amazing Denver poet, medicine poet. He is, as we used to say, his own man. More than a disciple of some orthodox poetry church, you will meet a mindful, funny, wise, and compassionate person in these texts. Yeah, I've gotten to read it, it's true. Unafraid to speak honestly and vulnerably. From lead poet Robert Johnson, memory care to contemporary politics, grieving lament to defiant slam, MD lays it all out about as clearly as a poet can, while leaving enough tantalizing mystery to feed the reader's soul for days on end. He really believes it is a miracle just to be alive. His poems encourage me to believe it too. Oh, and then this big part is by Valerie, this other famous poet. Ooh, right on a book cover. This long-anticipated poetry collection opens like a portal that will rainbow a monochrome world. Reminiscent of Rumi and Hafiz, you will taste the landscape with your tongue, unable to separate your own inner body from the mountains and sky you inhabit. Quote, not the waterfall, but the water falling, end of quote. Quote, no longer sculpted by gravity, end quote. A love poem to life herself, you will want to take your time, savoring each languid line. I am taken by how much I need this. So MD is an amazing blues musician, harmonica player, flute player, and poet, and let's clap.
You're going to hear a lot more from Valerie later, and I'll tell you about Valerie. But I'm just going to jump right into the book. This first poem, I actually wrote at a workshop that Valerie Trommer did in my alternative school back when we had her in to do that. And a friend of mine said, "When you'll get it. After being told I look good for 67 on my 57th birthday. Damn fluorescent lights. Damn the buzz. Laugh line, shadow deeper, veins ridge up. The window glares at my reflection. So much depends on lighting. I shiver in the building, see my own breath. The grim reaper sits down next to me, tells me Jewish mother jokes. Aging is a paradox. Our engines slow as the scenery speeds by ever faster. Everything breaks on this train. The news sounds like a rag flapping on a barbed wire fence. It takes longer to chew. My bones creak and something new hurts, yet my mind grows more playful, my heart more childlike. Eyes brighten on a dimming world. Slowly, we turn back into life. Yeah, I'm fine with you guys clapping, yelling, talking to me. You know, I'm coming from the blues tradition. You know, just like snapping and waiting to end at the end of the show to clap isn't what we do. Acrophobia, in memory of Mike Adams. Rain bites, goosebumps, skin shivers, bones, lilac whiffs on languid wind, and the smell when the rain first tames the dust brings me once again to who I am in this cage of dying skin. Between warm speckled rays, thunder, hymns, and haws clears its throat of cloud. The old lineman mumbles, "Can't work in the lightning." Only sporadic strikes riddle the ambivalent sky, but I had to agree it was a yellow afternoon, and there is never a better place to stand than where your feet meet the ground. Nearby, a flash rips through. I wouldn't go up there either. Not if I had a say about it. Not now. Probably never. This book really represents a different phase in my poetry to me. My poetry has always, my whole life, been kind of start and stop. When I first started writing poetry, I kind of wrote myself into a corner and scared myself with some of the things I was seeing and telling myself. So I stopped for quite a while. And then I came back to it and started revising old poems. And so this is a cycle when the pandemic hit, and I started to have a lot of massive time on my hands. I wasn't running around playing music everywhere. I went through all my old poems and wrote some new ones, and this is the product. This is a real special poem. It's also something you can do. It's actually a little manual on a way to experience a psychedelic experience without any drugs. It truly works. You may have to study the poem to figure out exactly what to do, but it's in there. 2 is 1. Through different eyes, we see the same. Not the waterfall, but the water falling, turning weightless, and in the moment finding its own shape, no longer sculpted by gravity. We turn our gaze and see together how the sinuous rock walls and the fingers of the trees are fluid too, how it shimmers and sways, a rippled mirage whirring back into sudden clarity. We find our own shape, here on the edge of this liquid cliff, gushing with the splash and clamor of the falls, flowing in and out of each other like breath, 2 as 1. Mary Omni and I got back together after a real long spell of not being in contact with each other, like 30 years. And when we first started getting back together, we emailed each other poetry back and forth, and kind of got to know each other that way. This is one of those poems. I wish now I was with you under this moon as full as my anticipation. I want now to be skin to skin within your arms again, emptied of my desperation. As if our lives between had never happened, free of regret. Would that I could have known then what now I know when we again first met. Alone in this darkness I began to pretend the same moon rides your night, strong and fragile as the eggshell moonlight. that one's pretty straight up on the word. I also have a CD that I released as a digital album over the pandemic that contains, I think, 6 or 7 poems out of the book. And I have that available here too. And in fact, if you buy the book for $20, please take the download card and download the CD as well. And some of the stuff is pretty experimental. This next poem is one of those that was kind of experimental. I've had a lot of fun experimenting with this poem. Actually, what I did on the CD was pretty mild compared to the video poem version of it. So the stuff's out there if you look around and you want to see different forms of it. This is just a straight up one voice page version. And it was inspired by a line by Elizabeth Robinson where in one of her poems she said, "He's going nowhere deliberately." Yeah. And that kicked this off. This is called Nowhere to Go Crazy. I've been here before, where the rain cuts through like shards of glass, drives me deep into the mouth of fog. Frozen, frosted with lacy flakes. This is nowhere to go crazy. When I move again, I return to somewhere, anywhere there is something. I'm done with that circle of tears where dark fears fall from a lightning-cracked sky. It's over. The only way out is in. There is nothing to say. It's time to leave. There's nowhere to go. So I'm off. It might as well be a picnic with this frayed tablecloth I keep in my back pocket to blow my nose. There is nothing to take. A bleeding wafer of heart between 2 loaves of breath is all I need. I linger in the ghosted metal. My soul in its blue bottle stirs the rocks to breathe. I want only to blaze my own way, to climb my high green hill where each star shines alone. Sure, I'll miss the warmth of the crowd, the clap of strangers bumping into me, but the broken music takes me now. Ears stuffed to brain. No time to stay. No reason for more of the same. Screams fall like paper. I leave what is left for another to write. No desire for the ashes of this burning world. My breath fogs my glasses. In a dark way, I am filled with light. I'm ready. I've had no sleep for weeks. My eyes open from looking inward. I have sharpened my teeth. Inside, it never changes. Every way I turn leads back. I awake ever closer to sleep. The edge of my dream cracks with beauty. I wish I could take you. Here in the middle of nowhere, there is so much to share. The silence shatters into light. It's a miracle just to be alive. It's really nice you read those quotes at the back because when I selected poems, I kind of like picked some of the ones that you guys wrote about. So this is this is Memory Care for Anita. And it has a little epigram from Jimi Hendrix's Up from the Skies, his 1968 Axis Bowls Out, Low Mountain, side B. I heard some of you got your families living in cages, tall and cold, and some just stay there and dust away past the age old. Age breaks the cage. The canary lingers. The soft-boiled egg of her mind cracks open. Day after yellow day, nothing stays. Each morning she rises to a fresh world, plays out childhood from finish to start, rides the glass slide down foggy mirrors. She smiles as she waits for the flash. So, this one's dedicated to Brent. This is for Brent. It's called It's Easy to Be Normal. I can pass for normal if I really try. I put on deodorant and it seems to help. Just yesterday someone asked for the time and I said 1:36. Even though I always carry a sprig of the herb in my pocket in case the question comes up. It's easy to be normal. A husky voice survey woman asked, "Sex?" I told her, "Mel, just like that." At the grocery store, though, I lost it. The bagger inadvertently brushed my hand and said, "Paper or plastic?" This is a little while ago. I said, "It's skin. Isn't that normal?" Most of the time, if I concentrate, I can ignore all those variant meanings that come to mind and figure out what others want from me. Isn't that what normal is? Doing what others expect instead of being who I am? The most important thing is to try to be like everybody else. My biggest problem, perhaps, is I don't watch television. In polite conversation, I find it helps to nod often, even if nothing makes sense. I probably shouldn't even talk about peppers. When the waiter asks, "Ground pepper?" I say, "Yes, please, simple enough." The problem comes when he says, "Just say when." I usually say nothing. He gets tired and walks away. What I want to say is, whenever the grinder is empty. Lately, I've started to carry my own bottle of pepper sauce for places where ketchup is the only condiment. It makes things easier. I wonder if anybody is really normal, if everybody is nodding because nothing makes sense. I think I could fit in if we all stopped pretending. But then people take too much too seriously. I could be normal if it paid enough, but it's truly overrated. It's certainly no way to raise children. I guess I should spend more time worrying about how things look. Also, it would help to occasionally be on time, but then there's always the poem I'm working on that won't let me go. Somehow I get by. I have a good life. I must say, there's really no reason to change, unless, of course, I spill hot sauce on my shirt. I'm going to read this next one. I don't know, because Mariana told me once, she remembered the line from this poem, for years and years and years. So I thought it would be worth sharing. The first snow. Ice claws the mid-cap pulled snug over ears and hairs, springing through loops and frizzle, wild as weeds cracking concrete. The mind empties like a dandelion in a yawn of wind. Ice spit sputters, its bitter electricity shatters the night in a tinfoil screen. White flakes whirls into myriad colors. Under the black blue bruise of sky, ice seeds bleed silver. Those that do not shiver freeze and glitter as they fall into cool crystal. Through cold moans I drift, dazzled and numb. I lay my head swirling on a gleaming breast of ice and dream I am warm. I'm so glad you read the poem about the door. This one's called The Door, and I got all kinds of doors and windows all over my poems. I don't know why. They're just there. But this is the door. The door in my mind does not open. It's liquid. To look at it is to be swallowed by a mirror. I walk through. I'm drenched in silver, seen by night as only a shimmer, seen by day as stained glass, my shadow dizzy with colors as full of life as warm pond water. I live a life as normal as any poet. No one notices any difference. Maybe all poets go through this. When I die, the door will splatter. A wind as dry as fire, as cold as space, will bear me away. Those behind the door who speak as one will offer me a job. I will become famous. I will finally be able to live off my poetry. The Lost River. Shiny, shiny, go now, hungry, thirsty, swallowing, being swallowed. This is it. Go now into the deep, into the dark hole, into the thundering quiet. Dream now. Sleep into the foil. Seep onto the coals, sizzling silver, glowing fish. Swim within the fire, swim through dull ash, the taste of smoke. Leap into the brilliant fall over a rounded rock, over frothing rivulets, into the shining pools, salty with spawn and sunlight, steaming with life. Drink deeply your own blood. Eat your fill. Go now, fishermen, caught in flesh. Go now, fish, go. Keeping with that theme just for a minute, here's one called Hooked. It's not because no one is home that this thunder leaves me uneasy. Rain chants its mantra of falling no matter what comes to mind. The rain dashes by like a cat, and the thunder growls like a dog pulling on its chain. Water moves, always wearing down, dissolving whatever is in its way. Me, I stay put. I could be a tree, how casually I wait for the storm to pass. The thunder stutters now as if to say, enough already. A muffled squall rages inside me. It rains here all the time. The wind pushes the tears back into my eyes. I open and close the dark window. Open the window because I need to breathe. I groan in a dialect of thunder no one understands. Like a drunk stumbling home, I bellow and bawl until there's nothing to say, until I black out. I'm hooked and mangled as Hemingway's Marlin. This is what it's like to be old, to be afraid to climb. At the top of the tower, the ever-turning light makes a shadow out of everything in its way. Once the water, heavy from its journey, comes to rest, it returns to the purity of the sky. This is the teaching of the rain, the meaning of our breath. Take in deeply what you may, but remember always to let go. That'd be great. Yeah.
You want me to sit right there? Because he's...
Sure. This is the last poem I said, and I'm going to bring Valerie up right after this.
I'm just going to make a quick announcement. What we're doing is MD's going to finish his set, and I'm going to have a set, and then we're going to have a 10-minute break. You can sign books, you can chat with you, y'all can speak with your poet laureate and give her your address to get on her mail list, and then we'll come back and we're both going to do a second set. So is it this one or this one?
This is one. Anyhow, this is one I dedicate to Sugar Blue, and who in my opinion is the best living harmonica player in the world. And I know some damn good harmonica players, so that's saying a lot. The long drive home from a gig at 3 a.m. The pavement is not real. The stars, like salt spilled on black velvet, show no sign of life. Stare like glass eyes from space. Sugar blue whines and growls his hollow ache, moans his harmonica wind through brass and plastic, charges the vacant night with longing. Everyone who ever plays stretches for that note missing from the chord that binds us. Sugar digs it out, slams it down on the rough road like black ice, scrapes it against raw face like sandpaper. Inside the wrenching bin towers a persistent yearning, a burning loneliness that drives each fragile breath we pass from lung to lung. We roll down this road of night that never ends, tumble like a cage of seed and thorn from deep within her pain. A stout and solitary joy begins. Well, Valerie, yeah, I can say all kinds of things about you. But I want to say the one thing that's important, right? Which is why I have such tremendous respect for Valerie as a poet. And I've been to readings and benefits and memorials, and whenever there was something that needed to be said, as far as it being human in the room, along with the suffering that was going on around us, Valerie found a way to say it. Exactly what was in my mind. And so many times. And to me, that is what makes a true poet. So, with no more introduction needed than that, I think, Valerie, come on.
All right. I'm going to do one song, one poem from my book, So Ready, and everything else is going to be from my new book offerings, because it's brand new and I want to deep dive into it tonight. So, but I love starting with this poem. feathers replaced today. Along my shoulders and the back of my neck, the old ones hardly catching the currents anymore. I'd forgotten to molt and hung on to everything I ever had. Today I let go, pluck the disheveled, and replace them with the grand. Part angel, part great blue heron, and downy owl feathers along my spine. I don the taloned feet of hawk, firm, relaxed, unfettered by storms. I see the moon different, shadows as friends. The thing about poetry and the thing about flute music is they both make you hear the silence. It changes the quality of the quiet, right? You feel it's really different. So yeah, new book. It went in 2 hours before midnight, so I could say 2022. It has an official print date of winter solstice because I love the way that sounded, but it really went in 2 hours to midnight. And so I'm going to share the title poem. And there's a little backstory to this poem. I brought the recycling outside one Tuesday morning and emptied it out. It was a brown Rubbermaid trash can. Emptied it out and I forgot it outside. And later when I went to get it, I picked it up and it was actually hot. And it startled me because rubber's not usually hot. And then I saw the sun streaming in it and I said, "You're just a bucket of sunshine, aren't you?" But it's so great because it's a superpower to be able to reframe our reality and reframe our life. And so, you know, you can just say, am I a hot trash can or am I a bucket of sunshine? And I walked in and I wrote this poem, Offerings. I carried a bucket of sunshine into the kitchen this morning. How could I have missed such pleasure, such magic all these years? What's free is generous. Like the daily feathers, I've been receiving. I could say finding, but they are not lost. They are the shed offerings that lift into heaven from earth with a lightness of being I want to remember. I've collected a basket of moonbeams for August in honor of the month I was born. A little bird fallen from a nest, expected to walk like a human, watching the ground to not stumble when all the secrets of magic are in the sky. So I'm going to play a little bit with MD. When we do things like this, he's never heard the poem, we've never done this together, but we just like to do it anyway. So, and this was a poem I wrote for a Jim Disney exhibit at the Loveland Museum. So it's an ekphrastic poem. It was about an art piece. And that art piece was a framed femur bone and 5 stones. And it was, the title of the artwork was Bone Games. Bone Games. And it starts with a quote by Fred Lamont. "There is dinosaur tar in my bone marrow. I, too, have risen from the earth, from eggs carried by grandmothers birds, wings folded under skin. My vertebrae are made of turtle shell, skin christened by the Milky Way, nails translucent petals of skeleton flowers. Dinosaur tar came from my Hungarian side. We ate stone and maidenhair fern. The earth was softer, more malleable. Everything that ever was is in our marrow. Every being, a word in this long poem. As a lizard, I feared the pterodactyl. As a worm, I feared deluges that drown. As a baby bird, I feared the cold. As a dinosaur, I learned to fear the tar that held my feet in place. As a human, with your DNA in my bones, how can I own myself peaceful? How can I trust a cloud's shadow to not be a hunter searching for me? How can I learn to trust the rain? As a being of earth, in whose consciousness do I walk? It is a miracle we are not afraid all of the time. And this poem was Technut Han died last year, and he wrote a poem called Call Me By My True Names. And so I wrote this poem in homage to him. It has nothing to do with him or his poem, but I wanted to write him a poem in honor of him. So, Call Me By My True Names for Technut Han. Call me by my true names. The young tadpole not knowing how to crawl on land, clinging to the slide of mud, not learning to trust the sun. Call me by my true names, one who breaks, who forgets to break, who protects, who forgets to love, who forgets to trust love. Call me by my true names, the ones that change in the draggy mornings, the ones that arrive when she lifts the pen, the one who calls herself bodacious because of the way it tumbles in her mouth rather than any truth of it. Call me by my true names that change in every moment, new or dying, as every moment is a life, as every moment is addicted to hope and ends in the ocean with the other tears. Call me gratitude or octopus, or an inner solitude that is a perpetual, warm carpet sameness, no matter how much it may appear that she has arrived. Call me sediment and peace and writer intertwined with winter frost on windows that lives as long as a hot breath breathed onto it. Call me intrepid, call me hopeful, call me laughter, comet, momentary, just as we all are made. So now to make what MD said true, now for the political part of my set, and then in my second set after intermission, we'll go into the healing, earthier stuff again. This poem is in response to our youth poet laureate, Amanda Gorman. Everybody knows Amanda Gorman. Amanda Gorman Gorman changed the world and put poetry in the hearts and minds of everybody at Joe Biden's inauguration. And she upstaged Beyonce, which is hard to do. She just stole that day. So this is in response to Amanda Gorman. If I were to write the inaugural poem, it would rise and lift on brightly colored wings. My poem would honor the bald eagle and turkey. Betsy Ross, who stitched together the fabric that unites us, counting each state as a star in an unwavering blue sky, constant as waves of grain across our heartland. My poem would feed, would free us from greed, would make sure everyone has a pantry and every pantry was full. My poem would remind that we have enough, that we belong to each other, red and white stripes held together through fierce winds that would tear. Yet we hold the threads to repair. My poem would rise high, even as it names shortcomings that show us where to begin. My poem would begin with king's dreams, would alarm us awake to live life true. My poem would change bullets into books. My poem would change coal plants into windmills. My poem would inspire everyone to create their own art so deep we would all fall to the ground weeping, recognizing the beauty in each other, then awaken into that true new dawn. My poem would turn flags into wings, a nation of better angels who won't drop a single stitch, won't let a single star fall from our sky. Thank you. I think that's the first time I've ever read that. So I read a couple of these last night. 2 days ago was our 87th day in 2023, and we had 2 days ago, this is old numbers, 133 mass shootings in this country by day 87. I started writing a poem last night that said there's only two kinds of Americans, the ones who can say yes and the ones who can say not yet. And the question is, do you know anybody killed or injured by guns? And I think we all can either say yes or not yet. I don't think there's anything but not yet. So this was after one of those shootings. I don't know which one. Say their names. Never forget. Say Rubio. Say Romney. Say Rand Paul when you see the holy bodies bloodied under school desks. Red soil on the playground. Teachers' bodies strewn. Say Cruz, say Hawley, say Cornyn as you watch the death toll scroll 10 times every week in America. Say Murkowski, say McConnell, say McCarthy when you scream. Your heart unmendable, untenable angst. More laws blocked. Say Graham, say Green, say Gates as worshipers march into heaven. Bibles soaked in tears and bone. Never forget, say their names. Say Purdue, Ernst, Collins, say Blackburn, Blunt, Boebert when it's time to vote. No, when you pull that lever for these names, you are pulling those triggers yourself. Thanks all. All right, I've never read this next poem. That may be the most important poem I ever wrote, I think. A murder of black robes perch in the highest tree, lording over the lands below. Clutch Sunday school erasers in their talons, targeting the laws written before them. Foundations erased by 6 crows in a tree. Their mirrors show them bigger than they actually are. Untouchable, they strut through the neighborhood. Keen eye of judgment, cocked, loaded, and half crazy. They squawk to the sky, cackling from within sacred chambers. I don't even know where we're at on time, but I'm gonna just do 2 more and then take a break. Andy's like, keep going. But I'm on a roll now, so I'm gonna stick with this roll. So, one thing Andy was referring to is, so last week, March 22nd, is the 2-year anniversary to the King Soopers massacre. And where 10 people were killed. And I really think that, I think as a poet, it's my job to talk about this stuff. And I don't want to do it in a way that beats people up. I want to invite people to come in. You know what? I am going to segue a minute. I had a request. She keeps requesting a poem, and I haven't read it in a really long time. So I have time for 3 poems before break. Yeah. Okay. Meltdown, that's okay. So when the Twin Towers came down, 9/11, I had tickets to go to Egypt. I had the tickets for 9 months, and I was supposed to go in 2 days, and I lost that trip, obviously. But I have written a little poetry throughout my life. I was dumbfounded by the things I was hearing. I couldn't agree with what I was hearing. It didn't make sense to me. People saying, we gotta go kill somebody, we gotta go find an enemy. And I'm thinking, no, none of this is right. And I started like hearing these words like downloaded, like daytime and nighttime. I'd be walking down my hall and I'd hear these words, and I took dictation, and at the end of a day or 2, I ripped out my notebook paper and folded it and shoved it in my jeans pocket and stumbled around the world and read it to anybody who would listen. Because it was the first time I could say this. And so I'm listening to people and I'm thinking, we're not right. So I'm walking through the world, counter spinning through the world, disagreeing with mass worth. I see connection to the earth. I thought we had our real solution with our conscious evolution when along came that election that ignored our selection. This is like 20-some years ago. This seemed to take away our power and to make the general cower, the old school that seemed so scary that we thought we long had buried. In darkness once more rose, and in our hearts we froze. We were being asked to hold the truth that's so apparent in our youth. We've a government hard to trust who only value money's thrust, bringing us back to the dark ages when other nations brought forth rages and attacked our symbolic power by destroying our twin towers, and our Department of Defense trying to scare our government. Now, we're dividing our whole nation. Some say we power of damnation, saying we can cure all evil by killing even more people. But I say, bomb them with butter, y'all. Use your hearts and feed them all. If we meet their basic needs, then through love we'll plant the seeds. That our world is really one. Our light all comes from the same sun. Treat others as you wish to be. Through listening we'll begin to see that we're the keepers of the earth, that we're related through our birth. The one created all our relations to come together as all nations and be our common invocation. To hold one dream, one thought of love, to honor each other and the ones above, to care for our mother, our sacred earth, to care for our Father who created our birth. Come on, bomb them with butter, fools, in honor of the golden rule. That peace begins within us all. That in this truth, we must stand tall. Thank you. I became a poet that day. I did. I wasn't a poet before that. I got gifted that, and that's in Sorretti, reprinted in Sorretti. Thank you, though. It saved me. I finally knew what I wanted to say. This is not okay. This is, so, thank you so much. And I thought, oh, I'll write lots of poems like that. Well, no, I never could write another poem like that. I'm not sure I ever wrote that poem. So, March 22nd, 2 years ago, another with another did another. And this was time I became a yes, because one of my friends were there. And the worst thing I maybe have ever heard in my life is she was the last to go. If it's the one thing I wish I didn't know in my life. Isn't that crazy though, to pray that your friend is the first to die and not the last? That's really a sickness. We're really sick. So it was a Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, and I too was going to get a vaccine that day, really close to that grocery store to another one about the same time. And so I thought I knew 2 people who died. It turned out I only knew one, but I bought some tulips, incense, and candles, and I went to the King Supers near me, and I thought, people said there was a memorial there where I could leave them, but there wasn't one. But there was a cop out there, and I looked at him and I said, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I cried for the first time. And I realized that on Friday I was going to have to go to that wall. I don't know if any of you made it to one of those walls yet. I kept getting on these groups. People would say, get in this group. There were people who would talk about grief and stuff. Every time I got on a group, everybody was talking about being pissed off and how we need laws, and we're all outraged, and there was nowhere for me to grieve. I was just lost. And so I was going, I realized I would have to go to the wall, the fence, on that Friday morning. And so I spent 24 hours with these tulips in my house. And when I went to go, I freaked out over the tulips and what I was asking of them, that they weren't going to have a cush life in my vase on the table. I got to read this on NPR, and our representative, Joe Goose, wrote me the most beautiful letter, thanking me for writing this poem and quoting the poem to me. That was just the most amazing thing. Tulips. 1. My spring flowers this year are for a grave. Not a grave. A fence surrounding a grocery store. Not a grocery store. A crime scene. Not a crime scene. 10 crime scenes. A rapid fire of crime scenes in the checkout line. Not a line. A scream. A twisting fall. 2. They are tulips, young and red, and everyone I try to talk to talks about guns and angry men, and the dust is still in the air like ash from a volcano. And they want to cast laws, and I do too, but today's tears will become their own bullets by tomorrow if I don't open my own lips and wail. 3. They are red and young, and I'm planning to hang them as if they've done something wrong. Leave them to shrivel on a cyclone fence, as though these deaths will be a little less painful as we watch something else die, already cut from their source. I wrap their green open stems in paper towel and water and plastic. Thank them, plead with them to be brave, to hold strong. They have a lot of work to do. Milton MD. So I wrote a song, y'all, last year, and I wrote to Milt, and I said, hey, I wrote this song, and I'm hearing it in the tradition of Bessie Smith. And he's like, well, who's Bessie Smith? So he went on YouTube and listened to a bunch of Bessie Smith, and then he sent me an email, and he's like, what do you think of this? And he had taken my song and just got it right to the tune in my mind. So he doesn't know it. I've never heard Milt do it in person, but we're going to close the set with Milt singing it, and I'm going to loan my voice to it, and we're going to have MD play and just see what happens. So this is a debut. I've even changed some of the words since Milt's version, so we'll have to see how that works. Can I read your words?
Sure, if you want to.
So this is Milt Mays.
Yeah, I'm Milt Mays. And if anybody wants to see any of my writings, I have a website, miltmays.com, MILTMAYS. Anyway, and I also have a YouTube with some of my songs on there. But this particular one, let me get to the song. I'm still on the song. Okay, so this is kind of in the theme of the first song I sang about the Ukraine war. And I'm going to kind of get things started, and then these two are going to come in and we'll go through it.
It's called Ukraine War Blues.
Yes. Oh, the bombs are dropping around the world. Oh, the bombs are falling around the world. Those damn bombs are destroying every good boy and girl. On my head hangs low, I still on my head it's so low, I fill with tears. For Ukraine lands to heal would take more than years. Young soldiers march, guns pointed high. Young soldiers march, guns held so high. Lord, what a waste of life under every sky. Oh, the tanks they tear a once and peaceful land. The tanks they tear a once and peaceful land. For those tourists to leave, to take the good Lord's hand. Lord, were we born, taking all we want. Lord, were we born, grabbing up all we want. Oh, is there hope for us humans? those damn bombs are destroying. Okay.
What a thrill to do that. Thank you. All right, let's take a break, and then MD and I are going to do your second sentence. And I'm writing a book on grief and resilience, and I think this is going to be the title of that new book. Kintsugi, the gift of shatter. How do we stop, turn, step into the glacier's calving, the turbulence created when we shear from the familiar? How do we break in order to mend back together, more beautiful than before? We heal, we reach for the glue to shield our cracks from failing, from falling into the unrecognizable. Not trusting any sacred remembering to piece us back. Not trusting the magic encoded within, iced over, needing fractures in order to thaw. Resilience cannot take hold without fractals of grief allowed in, black armbands showing our embrace of night of uncertainty. Humans are not meant for certainty and solid, but for finding again and again those beautiful mirrored lights, those hopeful stars that call us back again and again whole. Thank you. This is another poem by request. I have a friend who's so awesome. Every time I read her a poem, she says, I want to request that you read that poem. So, gratitude, even now, even when bullets are being cast faster than we can shoot them, even when the long leaders have too much sway over our lives and seem disengaged from who or what we are, even though light is nothing my hands can hold, I pick up a pen and notebook as though it could change everything, including me. I pick up the mantle of spiritual warrior, which I spell with the letters of my own name, as though commanded, as though responsible to share what I have been given. The knowingness that the beauty walk is everything. To wear this world as a loose garment. Some tell you to turn away from the violence, hardships, elections, and just carry a higher vision. But I gather sparkling stones amongst tree roots. But as I gather sparkling stones amongst tree roots, bits of dirt are unavoidable. Like so many things, unremarkable at first glance. But when greatly magnified, you'll find a universe of hidden earthen beauty, stealed away and held for those with the desire to breathe, to meditate into the center of even the smallest universe. I'm going to keep this set kind of shorter, and we're going to do a little bit together. This, I write a lot about seasons, and so this is really a winter solstice poem, but I really wanted to read this tonight. The return of light on winter solstice. In this journey, you are the hero, the walking myth. Your stories infused into the cave's wall. You have come to swallow the sun on this winter solstice. Elders gather, circle around the fire in the deep of the cave, bursting your name into the stone wall, your handprints, stories that no longer live inside bones and blood. They hand you pouches of seeds to plant your dreams into a deep, luminous blue pool near the cave entrance. These seeds empowered to create the new paradigms. DNA ladders twist around Orion's fingers as he draws back the bowstring. The moon is full. The night is long. It's not time to know answers. White Raven brings back the sun for you this night so you can find your way as the light returns. Swallow the light. Let the shadow burn your story into the flint walls that breathe slower than whales. Keeping time beyond time, you are the hero, the myth of your journey, and tonight you shine. I'm going to do a little Easter poem. I end it with a spring poem. So the end of the book goes through fall, winter, and into spring. I think. Come on. Nobody's heard this poem. Last night we were at a reading and I said, new shit, and everybody in the audience goes, new shit? It's a call out at some slam poets and stuff. It's really fun. Also, at a reading, they say, how much is your new book? And I said, $15, and they all chant. This wasn't last night, this is another reading, but they all said, $15? That's practically free. It's really, really awesome. Resurrection Sunday. How the past flowers emerge, their yellow stamen shameless for the world to see. How fat bees manage to lift off, laden with sticky pollen, drunk on honey. How the sun holds form a bit earlier, each rise, later each set. How wind brags across high branches, threatening untethered nests, rattling free last year's dregs of leaves. How Christians drop to knees as tulips and daffodils break up the earth to emerge from tombs. How we celebrate a return of life in the northern hemisphere when birth of lambs and fawns renew. How chapters are turned in thick life books, how blank the new pages. How hope hitches a ride in spring's morning. Even from the ashes of war, there comes a pause, a prayer for peace. How a master teacher pushed aside the stone that enclosed him tight, a body empty, taking breath once more. All this and more, he said, is who you are, how we can believe. Remember, this is who we all are, nature. So Andy and I are going to do this one together, and I think it's, Ginger, can you wait one more poem? It's my last poem. I keep dragging her out. She wants to go to bed. I'm not letting her. Auntie's being really temperamental about my flute. He won't play with it.
It's a 432 flute. It's a 443.
Before he knew it, though, he used to play with it. The sky sings. The sky sings me home, where my grandmother's bones lace my own marrow. Ash on my fingers, soft from last night's fire, soft from conjuring stars, mapping home. Home, not like the place to return to after my skin lies down, but that resonant river that traces my limbs, where I'm rooted, where I remember myself whole, connected, powerful, able to do more than survive. A stone from the path asks me for a carry. We share a walk for a while. I ask this older brother how to get home, how to remember myself whole. I ask if they will remember for me and see my dreams so I never forget anymore. Brother tells me forgetting is the game. Survival, a map of losing and finding so our hearts can crack deeper and deeper like stones in a sweat lodge, glowing red. Cold water striking their flesh. Their hearts burst, offering the way to let go and fall home again. Every prayer should end in again. The soft ash on my fingertips again. May I remember to look deep into the night sky again. May I sing and write poems and light sage in the mornings again. May I remember myself whole again. May I say thank you even before please. May I wake up knowing. May I see my bright path from end to beginning. May I remember the magic in everything again.
you so much for being part of it. This next poem, I'm going to read a couple prize winners here. This one, this is one of my few prose poems. So this one actually won the Columbine contest one year in prose poems. So anyhow, I want to do the setup, and I'll come back and do the poem. Set the scene here. A Book of White concert at the Masonic Lodge on Delmar Street, a steamy St. Louis 90-90 night. You guys know about 90-90? What 90-90 means? 90 degrees, 90% humidity. Sky blues. Stopped on the way to buy with a fake ID a 99-cent bottle of iced MD 2020 on the at the Delmar Street liquor store. Mogan David wine, cool and juicy like the stuff we used to drink on Passover, with a little more sugar added for flavor and just enough formaldehyde to make you see things out of the corner of your eyes. No rabbis that bless this shit. Carried it in a classic brown paper bag, no questions asked. We were white as donut bags. We were the only two donut bags there that night to see Book of White. Book of sang about salvation from the sweet girls up on Sugar hearing about Jesus. A little too into it, cooling off with our Mad Dog wine, hooting our oh yeahs between those hesitations that makes the blues breathe. No one minded the drunk young white boy sitting on the floor slopping out the cool concrete backbeat only they could hear. A little creamy foam on the black sea of the blues. Booker played it like it was, laid it right down on our doorstep, got to us where we lived. Booker called them sky blues because he reached up and pulled them out of the sky. Melted his slide dobro with a butter knife, squeezed out the blues until the power blacked out. Too many air conditioners in the suburbs sucking down too much juice. No iced MD 2020 there to cool them down. Booker kept right on sliding down them blues, moaning rough as the Mississippi mud, pulling them out of the sky, smooth as butter. With the mic dead, his voice rang out as pure as Passover wine. We were donut bags in the dark, it filled up with the blues. Booker was smiling as wide as the horizon when the lights came back on, and his voice suddenly boomed through the Masonic Hall, echoing off the off-white walls. I remember 2 donut bags stuffed and crumpled on the hard floor, as at home as living. You gotta remember, we were 2 young white kids kind of out of our minds, and the only white faces in that place when it went dark, and this was back, during the hot summers, in St. Louis. So the hot summer, that's what they refer to when they burn down lots and a few other places. That year was one hot summer, it was called or something like that. Another one from my past year. And another prize winner. This one won the New Zealand Poetry Prize. A good dog. It was white steam curling over the pot's lip, the bumping cobs of corn bobbing in bubbles, the thick sun-warm bleeding slices of beefsteak tomatoes, and especially the yellow butter's languid pose. That seemed like the summer was finally here. That previous November, just days after his 23rd birthday, my brother was found under a pile of decomposing leaves, face down in a deserted Missouri wood. We heard it first on the St. Louis News. After a month missing from the St. Charles radio shack, 2 employees found shot in the back of the head, execution style, motive still not known for the lunchtime abduction. For the first time that summer, Dad phoned Mom to put the water on. He was coming home with freshly picked sweet corn. It was the only time I remember Mom forgot to add her secret spoon of sugar to the pot. We sat at the table, closer than normal, around a small basket of wilting memories, gnawed by a nagging emptiness, not discussing that which never made sense. When Sister, our dog, snuck in to beg the summer food, she only just sniffed anyway. One stern look from Dad, and she sulked to her place by the kitchen door. She lay down in trained disappointment, persistent, almost human, a good dog. So I've been a yes for a long time. Never asked a poet directions. For Jared Smith. This is another one that's got a digital poem where you can go and there's animation artwork, sound art, and the poems are in there. And actually, this one's got some dancers on it. Did as part of the Fringe Festival, and there were a couple dancers that interpreted it and made a video of that. Never ask a poet directions. To start with, don't talk too fast. It's best to lean into each step, so as to feel the ground move you. Circle to the left under the pitched arm of the burning tree, twisting its flames toward the fired sky. Don't forget to duck. This way you may enjoy the exquisite pain if you're passing again and again. It might be better yet to model Alice and make yourself very, very small. It may take most of your life just to cross the footprint of the mother raccoon, but do not look back on a path glittered with regret, lest you fall like tears from the eye of your own making. When you find that place where her sharp claws have punctured the dark lung, stop and rest. You may even need to sleep before you go on. Most do. You will know when you are ready. The warm heave of your breath will wake you. Of course, it is always dark. When what little light there is films the rounded stone like milky dew, it will be time to move again. Follow the ragged ravine winding to your right as if you were water. Do not fixate on the wiggle of your falling. Remember, there is nowhere to fall but down. As you catch the hang of it, you will begin to roar. The clamor of everyone you have ever known will be echoing vociferously inside you. A few lusty cries will rise from the surge, only to re-submerge as they start to make sense. You will not be missed. Although it will seem like forever that you are gone, eventually things settle down. You become as flat and smooth as a velvet pool in the moonlight. There is nothing left but yourself as far as you can see, and still you will expand. You will know when you arrive because it's like you have never left. Ask a poet directions only when you realize you have no place to go. This next one came from a dream I had. It's one of those dreams that you don't forget. So I made sure I didn't. The visitors. Walls of incandescent metal. The incessant whir of the electric, punctuated by busy clicks of buttons and switches, my head inside the glass helmet, radiating splintered lines of color like a faro plasma ball. Jagged ridges of midnight blue, bolts of lavender, waves of deep forest green. The air was clean, but tainted with the smell of ozone, and Then in my mind, everything at once flared clear. Myriad petals of pastel light fell around me like warm snow. I knew they meant well. I had followed the trail of broken rocket parts to find them, and they invited me in. They were friendly enough, strangely familiar and gentle. Their bodies were translucent, their lips tinged fuchsia, their breaths smelled of amber laced with fennel. Their gold-flecked eyes flickered as steadily as the stars, but warmer like points of flame. None of this matters, I know. You just need to know I went in of my own free will, and now I am fine. But let me tell you, though, what they told me. They said they had come to bring us what we had always wanted, a gift wrapped in starlight from the dark skies of their home. It all happened so quickly, a flash of current, and the exquisite bliss of being fully human flooding through me, as if I had been empty as a vase. And now, you see, I am blooming. I'm just going to keep it rolling, Valerie. I think we're going over time a little bit, so I'm just going to keep rolling. Bedside manner. This is I wrote this upon the passing of my mother. The dying have no sense of when. Everything is was. Each breath a terrible wind. The light of those they love gathers like a tempestuous mob, shaking smoking torches outside the window. Blazes like a rising sun, flooding the river of glass with the searing certainty of inevitable dawn. The dying always walk the other way, forgetting all paths lead back, like breathing. The way in is the way out. I was there when she tumbled like a flaming magnolia down the long well of herself. I felt the exquisite weightlessness, then her fear. What happens at the bottom? She clenched my hand in hers, and mine in hers, although she was ashen as a tear of dust, hollow as a peeled snakeskin. I asked if she remembered the time in temple on Yom Kippur when we both felt the hand of her father's ghost squeezing hers, squeezing mine. He came to tell you it's all right. She remembers to let go. Falls forever. Nothing is more beautiful. Universal. Sunlit seed heads nod in eager waves. Golden grass bends in an agreeable wind, now and again. Same air pulses through each of us. No matter how old or alone, we bow our heads to the same light within. last one. New ship.
New shit?
New ship. Cruel surgery. Breath takes me to my root, my transcendence, to the wellspring of the infinite inside, where even shadows crackle with light. I embrace grief's cruel surgery and heal my heart. Thank you all so very much for coming. It